Kevin and I were watching a show called Vera. Vera is a detective, and she is in Northumberland, which is in northern England. And it's a TV show. It's kind of like CSI, but it's a TV show that takes place in northern England. So she went into this cafe, Vera did, and she bought these things. And I told Kevin, I said, what are those things? I've never seen anything like those. And you can see in the picture, the base of it, it's like a little, like over here, that would be like a pecan pie base or something like that. But I was like, what is that? So I posted this picture on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and somebody answered me back and said it's a Scottish Pineapple Tart. So I did a search for a recipe for Scottish Pineapple Tarts. Never heard of those before, and I thought we have to try these. So the website is called Baking with Granny, and if you search for Scottish Pineapple Tart, her recipe is the one that's going to come up. But I will put a link in the description below. We are following the Baking with Granny recipe. So what I did was, of course, they have all the British conversions. So I just looked it all up on the computer and I converted everything. Even the temperature of the oven, I have the conversions written down. So I am going to let Kevin tell you the ingredients you need first.
All right, so this recipe is split up into 4 parts. You got the pastry, the jam, the cream filling, and the yellow icing. So this is only for the first two, the pastry and the jam. So for the pastry, you need 1.5 sticks of room temperature butter. I put mine in the microwave and just slightly melt it. It's just very soft. A 1/2 cup of sugar. Sorry, pointed the wrong thing. 1/2 cup of sugar. 1.5 cups plus 1 tablespoon of flour. And then for the jam, you're going to need a can of pineapple slices with the pineapple juice, of course, and 1 cup of caster sugar, just regular sugar, white sugar. You're also going to need some kind of tins. You don't have to use these. You could probably use like little mini muffin, or not mini muffin, just muffin tins. It's going to be shaped differently, but we bought these on Amazon. They were really cheap. You get 100 of them. You'll need some baking beans to make the pastry not bubble up. And we've got these little mini cupcake things to sit inside there. When we put our beans in there, we're going to put those inside here. You can also use parchment paper if you want to, but this is just what we're going to use. So what you want to do is basically combine your butter and your sugar together in a mixer, or you're going to use a stand mixer. And then once that's light and fluffy, then I'm going to add my flour. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Of plastic ready, a piece of plastic wrap together, and I'm just going to dump this on the counter real quick. And you're supposed to knead it a little bit just to get it to come together. Now it doesn't, you notice I don't have a floured surface, nothing fancy. If you wanted to, you could do this on a cutting board, whatever. We just really want it to come together as one little dough. To go in the plastic wrap, and this is going to sit in the fridge to cool off a little bit, just to cool the butter off, really, to make it a little firmer, although it feels really good. But I'm just going to need a piece of plastic wrap here. I'm just going to patty it out, and I'm going to wrap this up and put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes or so. But while this is in the refrigerator, you're going to make your jam. So I'm going to get this in the refrigerator, and then I'll show you what to do with the jam. So while that's in the refrigerator, I'm going to make the jam. The jam is just let me get my instructions over here. Just the juice, the pineapple with the juice, and the sugar. So what you're going to do is just take the pineapples and open your can up. If I'd been prepared, I would have had this open beforehand, but I'm not like that, you know. But we're going to take the juice, we're going to drain it in this pan. Basically roughly chop up these pineapple slices. We're gonna add the sugar to the juice, and then I'm just gonna roughly chop up these pineapples. I'm thinking if you get them a little bit less, that was too big a hunk to chop. If you get them a little smaller than like bite size, you don't want them too big. because it is going to be a jam. Turn this on high, and you want to bring it to a boil, and let it boil. Once it starts boiling, let it boil for 20 to 30 minutes. The pineapples will be a little bit of a darker color. They'll have darkened up a little bit, but it won't be syrupy. It won't be super thick like a jam you get in a store, but it will be thicker than this. It will be syrupy. So yeah, once this gets to a boil, we're going to set a timer, and then we'll show you what it looks like. So this is just starting to boil. So we set a timer for 25 minutes. Just know that you need to stir this regularly and watch it so it doesn't stick or boil over. So just make sure you get a big enough pan to where it's not going to boil over the edges and it's not going to stick. Okay, so this is after about 12 or 13 minutes. It's really thickened up, starting to get a little darker. I had it on high. I turned it down a little bit to like medium because I was worried it was going to just scorch on the bottom before it thickened up. So I turned it down. It's still, you can see it's still boiling. So yeah, I'm going to go for another 10 minutes or so. So I ended up, this is not much longer after I showed you a while ago, but we ended up leaving it on there for probably another 3 minutes after I showed you. Its total time was about 18 minutes, so that's pretty close to the 20, but it was starting to get dark. You can see they've changed color. It's really starting to thicken up. It's not very syrupy. I mean, it's pretty thick though. Even just cooled off the way it is right now, it's pretty thick. So you're supposed to let these cool off completely. While this is cooling off, you can go ahead and start making your tarts. Jelly, jam, whatever you want to call it. It's very sticky, but it's cooled off completely. Here's my tart dough. I did take it out of the plastic. I've let it set for a minute because it was almost too cold to roll out even. So I've actually picked it up and kind of moved it around a little bit with my hands just to warm it up. So I think it's warm enough to roll out now. I almost wish I just rolled it out when I first did it because it was perfect. Just the way it is. You can see it's already getting sticky. But we're just gonna go with it. And then I'll straighten it up as I go. I'm not gonna be able to do that. Hold on. I was almost better off doing it by my hands because it was actually working pretty decent with my hand. You know, rolling pins just do not work for me. I do not have good luck with rolling pins. I'm better off just squishing it out with my hand. So on my tins over here, I've sprayed them with cooking spray. It's just a can of vegetable oil. And you want a cutter that's just a little bit bigger than those tins. And we're gonna cut round circles or discs out of these and put them in the pans. And this should be about 1/4 of an inch, just a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch thick. And I'm gonna put this into the tin. And it said very specifically, make sure you don't have any don't have any air trapped underneath of it. And just press it into the bottom and the sides. Okay, got them all in the things. And so what I'm gonna do is you've got enough dough, by the way, left over, depending on how you do it, probably to make one more the way I did it. So, so you're gonna poke a couple holes in the bottom of each one of these. I'm going to move them over to a muffin tin, and the muffin tin is just to help kind of hold them in place and to help you get them in and out of the oven. You could probably put it in a cookie sheet too if you really wanted to, but I think this will help support them a little bit better. And I 100% think you could have done that in a muffin tray if you wanted to. So now I'm going to take these little mini muffin tins, little muffin, what do you call these, muffin liners?
Yeah.
Cupcake liners,
yeah.
Mini muffin cupcake liners. I'm just going to take these and lay them on the inside of each one of these, and then I'm going to put my baking beans in each one of these. So these are going to go in the oven for 15 minutes. Okay, so this is after 15 minutes. I need to take the beans back out now. Which is going to be a challenge, but came right out. A little sticky, but that's okay. That's why you bake them again. So once I get these beans off, they are going to bake for another 5 minutes without anything in them. So we're just going to bake for 5 minutes just like they are. Alright, so this is out of the oven, and I've got a teaspoon, and it says you're supposed to, and I've sprayed it with some cooking spray because this is really sticky. You're supposed to do a heaped teaspoon of this jam in each one, and I mean, it is sticky, sticky. Two parts left. One of them is for the cream filling and the other one's for a yellow icing, and it's like a pourable icing. So for the cream filling, we need 1 1/3 cup of double or heavy cream and 3 tablespoons of icing sugar, powdered sugar. And then for the yellow icing, we need 2 cups, 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar, 3 to 4 tablespoons of water just to get the consistency right, and the yellow food coloring. We have this yellow food gel that works really, really well. So I'm gonna basically just gonna pour your cream and your powdered sugar into your mixer and whisk it. But it said be careful not to over whisk it. Just get it to where right to the point where you think it's done and stop. I mean, don't whisk it any longer than that. Cream looks perfect. I think it looks perfect. So you're basically, you can pipe this or you can just dab it on there with a spoon. You want basically a ping pong ball size of cream on each one of these, and you want to try to keep it right in the middle to where some of your jam is still showing around the edges. So now I'm going to make my icing. So you get your sugar and your water, and I have my gel. And the way I usually do this is I just take it and I just literally just kind of run it around in the middle and kind of rub it on the side a little bit. And you can get, it doesn't take much. And if I need more, I'll add more to it. Biggest thing is don't touch it with your fingers, because you'll dye your fingers really good. And it looks orange, but it's yellow. So I'm gonna start out, what do you think? It says 3 to 4, you think 2?
I do 3. That's me though.
It has to be pourable. I'll do 3, 2.5. How's that?
So Kevin surprised me with this part. I had not planned on doing this, but it says to use a teaspoon and to pour this over the top.
It said start with a teaspoon.
Start with a teaspoon. So this is probably going to be the, I would think, the most time-consuming part.
Well, it said let it run, and then once you see where you need more, you can add more.
pick you out a tart. Which one do you want?
This.
I'm gonna get this one. Okay.
Well, the little tins work really nice.
Oh, it looks like a sugar cookie, doesn't it?
It does, and I taste a little bit of that dough. It tastes like a very bland sugar cookie. It didn't have as much sugar in it as a sugar cookie does. Yeah, I'm thinking these would be hard to eat.
Well, when Vera bought one from the cafe, she didn't have any utensils or anything. She just, she had it in her hand, so I'm assuming this is how she ate it. That is scrumptious.
It's very good.
Scrumptious.
I like the tart bottom. The tart is really nice. No soggy bottoms. The pineapple jam is a little thick, but it's good. It's got a really good flavor.
I think it's delicious. I wonder if you could just buy pineapple jam and just put it a tablespoon or whatever in the bottom of each one instead of making it yourself. I mean, if you wanted to do a shortcut, you know, if you're like, that's too much trouble for me, Tammy, could you buy, or any, you know, these are pineapple, so you would want pineapple, but could you buy
I guess that's the
cherry?
Traditional. You could buy literally any flavor of jam you want to. If you get a big bite of that though, it's very sticky. I think it doesn't really give you real good directions on what it's supposed to look like. It would have been nice if they put some temperatures on there, like let it reach a certain temperature. They didn't. I would have taken that off about 5 minutes earlier.
As people who have never had these before,
Never seen them before.
no, we don't know what the texture is supposed to be like. I can see where it would be nice to have more of instead of it being sticky, the actual pineapple part in the middle, and to have it more like preserves or something like that out of a jar.
Where it's softer.
Where it's softer. I think if you could find it, pineapple preserves, that would work perfect with this, and you wouldn't have to.
I'd say you can find that.
And you wouldn't have to make your own. I think this is so delicious, though.
It's very good. I love the flavor. It's super sweet. The tart bases, I'm impressed with how good it is too. The tart, it's got a good crispness to it, and it's firm.
It is very, very, once you put all the elements together separately, it's not that sweet. When you put all of it together, it's all very, very sweet.
Yeah, because I think the icing is what pushes it over the top sweetness. But the pineapple is also sweet. The whipped cream is not the heavy cream, it's not super sweet by itself, but you add it to everything else, it's very sweet. I think it's good.
I think it's
I would try this out too.
Oh yeah.
If I were you. 2 things I would do differently. Either buy your pineapple on your own, or use a different flavor if you wanted to. Or if you're going to make it yourself, which is super easy to make yourself, but I would go much less time. I think it should be more syrupy than thick and sticky. It should be more runny. So once it gets to the point where they're getting they're starting to get that little dark caramelization on them, but they're still really runny, stop. That's when I would stop next time. My second thing I would tell you is pipe the Cool Whip, or the whipped cream.
The white part.
The white part, the cream. Pipe that in a nice ball in the middle, because if you look at these, they're kind of bumpy and stuff like that.
Right.
That is not because of Tammy's pouring skills. That is 100% because the cream in the middle is not smooth. I tried to smooth it, but it's still going to show up. So if you pipe a nice ball of that cream in the middle, I think it'll pour a lot better. But the flavors are excellent.
The flavor is fantastic.
And the recipe itself is good. I just wish,
Yes.
the only thing I wish they'd done is tell you a temperature about the pineapple, but that's it.
Yeah, I've never bought. I'm sure you can buy pineapple preserves. I bet you can.
Probably.
And if you can, and you're American and you want to make these, I totally recommend you make them, because It is over the top sweet.
It is.
And now I could eat 3 more of them right now. And I would be sick, but I could do it because it's so absolutely delicious. I love that. I think as a person who loves pineapple, it's delicious.
Yeah, and the pineapple's not, I mean, it's definitely there, but it's not an overwhelming flavor. It's
No, but
I mean, you know it's pineapple.
You know it's pineapple. And I think it's so cool that we could watch a TV show and I could see this and then I could post a picture. I had Kevin pause it because I was like, wait a minute, what did she just order? Because they had them like on a plate like this and she's like, oh, I'll take one of those.
And he got it out for him.
And then for me to be able to post it and it go, when I post to Instagram, it also goes to Twitter and Facebook. And for you all to say, there were several guesses and not everybody got it right, but I knew once somebody got it right. I knew once somebody said Scottish Pineapple Tart and I saw a picture, it was like, oh yes, that's exactly what that is. But it's neat for me to be able to reach out to you all and you to be able to answer and then us to be able to make something that they're eating on the other side of the pond that we've never heard of. I really enjoy being able to do that. There's a lot of other things we'd like to try our hand at too. But I think Kevin did an excellent job with these. They might not be as perfectly pretty, but this is our first go at them. And
you make adjustments. I'm telling you the things I would do differently. So if you make them at home, you can do that part differently.
But they're Moorish. They are Moorish. So I hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.